Hello, virtuous thought leaders, scholars, and virtue change agents. My name is Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, and I am the Leadership Architect. I'd like to welcome you today to another talk that I have prepared for you and in service to you and your goals. This comes out of my book called A Culture of Excellence, Virtuous Leadership Principles for Organizational Success, a Management System. And the cover slide there is the cover of the book, The Four Cardinal Virtues: Prudence, Justice, Fortitude, and Temperance. Here is my brand logo. My leadership brand is Virtuous Leadership. And as you can see, there are all of the virtues. And of course, magnanimity is at the top. Magnanimity is a virtue meaning greatness. So when we practice and put into action all of these virtues that you see here, we can aspire and actually attain greatness in the self, in our communities, our families, society, and nation. So I'd like to invite you to live virtuously today and every day, and teach others. Okay, here is the table of contents. We will get into my About page, engaging in productive problem-solving discussions, having a systematic change and accountability process, and an action plan for improvement, and then finally conclusion. Now this is a one-part or two-part lecture, so the second part will come after this, and basically we're going to talk about how to deal with maybe some problematic situations when we're working with others. How do you manage others in a positive way? How do you convey virtue within yourself and help the other person build virtue within themselves, and how we can help them become the best that they can be. All right, so of course, without demotivating people. So how do we do that? That can be a challenge. All right, so again, I ask you, what are your values? Let's think about that and reflect on that as we move through this discussion. Engaging in productive problem-solving discussions. There is a great deal of debate from leadership researchers and organizational leaders regarding whether punishment can lead to positive outcomes if it is administered properly, while others completely disagree with this premise. So as you lead and manage others, how do we deal with these difficult situations? Some believe that discipline in the workplace should involve a collaborative approach that reinforces accountability, promotes problem solving, fosters a mutual respect environment, and treats employees as valued partners. When managing culturally diverse teams in a globalized economy with employees throughout disparate countries and locations, managers should recognize and encourage employees for their efforts. Now keep in mind, if you are working on the ground floor with people and maybe not in a virtual environment, it's still the same thing. All of these principles are going to apply. So how are we going to manage culturally diverse individuals and keep them motivated rather than demotivating them? How do we inspire people? And I know in every organization I've worked for the past many years, we are asked to do a lot of self-reflection. Even when we get our quarterly reviews, our annual review, there's always a self-reflection part there that we can take a look at how we were reviewed, and then we can add our feedback as well. So we want to make sure that we can give that kind of opportunity to others that we work with and that we lead. So in addition, managers should develop and utilize coaching skills, even when performance or results may be less than desired. Punishment does not work well, yet engaging staffers in productive problem-solving discussions that aid in building personal ownership may not be enough. Conversations involving disciplinary action are difficult to have. I know they're hard for me to have. Regular and early coaching involving accountability and reinforcement discussions can help, but are not always enough either. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Having a systematic change and accountability process. Managers need to have a systematic change and accountability process to create a disciplined system that is positive and proactive. For example, the following actions can be part of a plan. Focusing on conversation rather than documentation or a disciplinary form. Having respectful conversations can be an opportunity to improve performance, behavior, and build commitment. Next, changing a disciplinary action or the steps involved in discipline to more positive words such as conversation, can we have a conversation, or notification. Warnings and reprimands are for children, not adults. In addition, this type of language can get in the way of commitment and problem solving. Next, giving employees a pathway to clear their record. Staffers should have the ability to earn a right not to be labeled negatively for past mistakes. When offenses are very serious, perhaps the employee should be let go rather than a permanent negative record. In addition, maintaining longer and more consistent discipline periods covers legal requirements and helps to reinforce an employee's commitment to correct the issue. So that's always where we want to lead our people, to have them self-reflect and to make those corrections. Finally, do not use unpaid suspensions. Give the employee an opportunity to decide how he or she wants to proceed with the organization and a way to express what he or she will do to change behavior rather than making the issue about the organization not paying the employee. Make the focus rest on the employee rather than the organization. And I know, when I coach my teacher candidates who are out in the field working on their student teaching portion of their degree, where they're out, working with a collaborative teacher in the classroom, I have to sometimes do contracts. So instead of reprimanding somebody or pointing their, wagging the finger, put together a contract that the two of you can come up with whenever you have to have a difficult situation, and what this person can contribute to a changed behavior. And then you can work towards that together with this contract. Okay, so let's move on to an action plan for improvement. What can that look like? Accountable, engaged, and committed staffers are central to the success of an organization. A measurable assessment of an organization's commitment to employees and their performance is how the organization responds when things go wrong. And you, as a manager or a leader of others, you want to be careful about how you respond as well, because we want to represent Jesus Christ out here working in the field, right? And we want to give others an opportunity to improve themselves. We want to model best practices, meaning principle-centered leadership and virtuous leadership within ourselves, so that we can show others, teach others how they can become principle-centered people and be more virtuous. So some other good suggestions for how to address employee discipline issues should involve using measures that are corrective rather than threatening statements, explaining why the behavior is an issue. Explaining is always very good for me, right? It helps the other person understand where I'm coming from, how I need to coach and mentor them maybe differently, depending upon their, what they need from me, right? So explaining on their part and explaining on my part is an open conversation. Not communicating with anger, avoiding talking down to employees, guiding staffers through steps that are correctional. So giving them the help that they need to improve, right? So giving them a pathway, showing them, explaining to them, modeling for them what it is that you need to see. Getting all sides of a story before taking action, and finishing with positive discipline. In addition, it is important that organizations have a correctional education process or plan in place as well. This is why I mentioned that contract or a charter. You may look into something like that. Employees should have access to training that reinforces what behaviors and actions are desirable and clearly defined steps regarding how to help them achieve those new actions. And your explaining or your contract or charter can have those clearly defined steps. Finally, a contract or charter can be an effective tool to help employees write out their action plan for improvement. So you want to include them in their own action plan as well, where they can self-reflect and they can add their bullet points about how they're going to take next steps. That way there's buy-in, there's collaboration, there's teamwork, and they feel part of the process and part of their growth. And always I make it a point to let anyone that I'm working with, let them know that I am here to help you become the best that you can be. I am here to help you become the leader in your community. right? So when we approach it in that way, people want to improve for you. And then they also want to perform for you because they appreciate what you're doing for them. They understand that you are there. You're their advocate, you're their helper, and you want to help them improve their lives and improve themselves in every way, right? So that's a better way of looking at discipline in the workplace. All right, so in conclusion, I'd like to ask you these two important questions. How will you help others perform at their best? And how will you help others reach their highest potential? Now, all of my talks, I give you tips and tricks and suggestions and ideas based upon the research. But of course, at the end of the day, after you think about all these things and you apply them in your own best practices, your own particular creativity and innovation and personality is what's going to be different for you compared to what I'm doing, right? So we're all going to do it in a different way, but these are some good ideas that you can incorporate into your own personal best practices. And I just love this little graphic here, lifting others up to a higher level. And of course, it's important for me to convey that in my leadership brand and style to anyone that I work with. I want people who engage with me for any time frame to understand that I am here to help you improve. I want you to live your best life and to become the creative, innovative person that you have within yourself, right? So if you can approach it that way whenever you're engaging with anyone, they're going to appreciate you because they understand that you are their advocate and you are there to help. You're not there to discipline. Okay, that's it for this particular talk. I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, here's the citation for my book. I want to thank you so much. It is always my pleasure and honor to serve you. God bless you.